Alright, where are we? We're moving over here. Babylon Talmud. We're moving. Where are we? Oh, okay. Oh, today's a weird daf, I think. Alright, where are we? Okay, what do we get up to? Okay. Today's just a weird daf, I think. I was so tired last night. I was so annoyed yesterday, as you probably can tell. Finally, the app got approved. Like, literally, I was like about to go to sleep, all like frustrated and stuff. And then somebody I work with called me. He's like, "Oh, the app was approved." I was like, "Oh, great." It took 4 days. It makes you like want to explode. Okay, where are we? Yeah, so that is to say, like when I was reviewing this yesterday, I was like really like stressed out. But I think I got through it, and I think it's just a weird daf. Chevra, I got coffee over here. That's good. Chevra, you didn't answer me in WhatsApp. You like coffee? Let's go weiter. All right. Okay, we're on Sadi Amud Beis. We got a bit of work to do. I think it's like a weird daf. I think it's a weird daf, but that's all right. So today we're on daf Tzadi Vav. Tzadi Vav, Masechta BavaKama. Soon, just another few days, we'll be on daf Kuf. I feel like Kuf is like the turning. It's like once you get to Kuf, home stretch. We got another 3 weeks after that. Once you get to Kuf, it's like all right. We passed like. It's like home stretch now. BavaKama. It's been stark. It hasn't been super easy, but it's been stark. Chevra. It's a big accomplishment. All right, I gotta get moving. You guys don't want to hear me talk about how gewaltig BavaKama is. Let's go weiter. All right. We're gonna start on Daf Tzadi Amud Beis about 10-15 lines from the bottom. Yo, good. Omar Rav Ashi says Rav Ashi. Should I roll up my sleeves? All right. But I won't waste your time. I'm going to pause. All right. Let's do it. We gotta go back there. Amar Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi, Kavinun Bei Rav Kahana, Papam. When we were by the Besmedrish of Rav Kahana, Ibayalon. We asked. Okay, we were by the Besmedrish of Rav Kahana, and we asked the following question. Okay, so Shimon who says that like, so what? So you basically have this sheep, or I think we said it was an ewe. So you have this ewe, and it's all woolly, and it gets woollier. So Shimon says that, right? So you steal an ewe, and it's like woolly, and it gets woollier. So Shimon says you have to pay back like the value at the time of the theft, and then any added value, you can like he can like the Goslin gets part of it, and then the victim gets part of it. Okay, so Shimon the Amar the Mechzel the Shus Lervia, who wait what? The Shimon the Amar the Mechzel Shlish V'Lervia who deshakil Goslin, or that the Goslin, right, the thief, for the added value can take a depending on the deal that they make. I guess I think the point is like because like once he steals it, he's like taking care of it somehow. Oh gosh, it feels so backwards. I was once in a country where we have these like people there where they like provide quote unquote services that are entirely unnecessary, and then like ask you for payment. So anyways, the guy steals the thing, and then somehow they're like working a deal with like the added benefit that the Goslin should be able to take some kind of a cut, whether it's a half, a third, a quarter. Okay. Oh gosh, I didn't do a great job rolling my sleeves. Now I just got to deal with that. Okay. Who deshakil Goslin? Okay, so where am I? So the Reb Shimon the Amar the Mechzel Shus Lervia who deshakil Goslin ki kam misalkinule b'demei misalkinule o dilma mi b'sore shakil. So, for example, if you have an ewe and you steal an ewe and then it gets all pregnant, okay, and now you got to give it back. So we say that the pregnancy, which is sort of this added value post theft, so when the Goslin gets sort of a cut of it, but both I guess both cut and steak work for the pun. So when you have this like, meat, so this cut that the thief gets from it, is it money? Does the victim like pay him cash for this value, or does he push it just take a piece of the meat? Okay. again, b'demei misalkinon lei, does the Goslin get paid this added value? Or maybe just Pashit takes from the meat, and we answered it from what Rav Nachman says in the name of Shmuel. Shlosha shomin loyin hashevach umaylin osin b'domim. Bump bump. There are 3 scenarios where we evaluate sort of the added value, and we pay it with money, not with sort of hard items like meat, or as we'll see, land, but rather with money, we sort of just pay it off. Ve'elu hein. These are the 3 examples. Bechor lifoshit, uvalchov lilokeach, uvalchov liyisomim. Who could explain what these 3 scenarios are? The first one, bechor liposhit. What that means is you have a guy. Let's call him Yaakov. Yaakov dies, and he leaves property to his 2 kids, Reuven and Shimon. Now Reuven is the Bechor, right? Reuven Bechori Ato Koichi V'Reishis Oini Yeser Se'es V'Yeser Oz. All right. Where are we? I think I quoted that somewhat right. So Yaakov has these 2 kids, Reuven and Shimon. Reuven is the Bechor. So the Bechor gets Pishnayim. So therefore, 2/3 of the property will go to Reuven, and 1/3 will go to Shimon, right? So Reuven gets twice as much as Shimon. Now, the thing is, this applies to the land, to the property that was available b'shas misa at the time that Reuven died. At the time that Yaakov. At the time that Yaakov died, so Reuven gets 2/3 of the property. Well, he gets twice as Shimon does, right? Pishnayim of the property that was at that time. Now, if they only come around to dividing it up later, and in the meantime, as Rashi gave an example, it increased by like $12. So now if Shimon, if Reuven took for himself 8 of those $12, he figured I should get 8 and Shimon should get 4. So basically, so that's not true, right? The added value of the $12 does not is not entitled to twice as much as Shimon. They split that added value post death in half. So they should each get 6, which means that Reuven currently has $8. He should have $6, so he's got to give $2 to Shimon. Reuven gives $2 to Shimon to even it out. The shaila is, does he take out his wallet and pull out two $1 bills or one $2 bill and give it to Shimon? Or does he give Shimon part of the property worth $2? So that is the question, and we're saying that it's money. He gives him money. Wow. That was a long time to explain a kind of parenthetical detail of this Gemara, or like part of this Gemara. So, Bechor lefashit ubalchov lilokeach. Similarly, if Shimon lends $1,000 to Reuven, Reuven now owes Shimon $1,000. Okay, Reuven has some property that he then sells to Levi. Now that property was meshubed to the loan. Reuven defaults on the loan, doesn't pay Shimon. Shimon goes to Levi and takes the property. Levi says, wait, but I made the property better while I had it. So in terms of those, right? So in terms of the that added value that Levi would get, he would receive money and he wouldn't get part of that property. He wouldn't be able to retain part of that property as payment, or he wouldn't be sort of entitled to retain part of that property as payment for the improvement. Rather, he would take cash. Similarly, if Shimon lent $1,000 to Reuven died, and now Shimon's collecting from the Yisomim, but the Yisomim say, look, we increased the value. So again, they would be paid with money. They would not retain part of the property, or at least would not be entitled to retain part of the property. Amarle, Ravina Ravashi says, okay, so the point being that that this added value would be paid with money rather than like meat of this pregnant baby. guy. Coffee. Okay, let's go weiter. Where am I? Amar le Ravina le Rav Ashi, says Ravina to Rav Ashi. Okay. Mi Amar Shmuel Balchov lilokeach yoiv le shevach. But does Shmuel really hold that Shimon, who's owed the $1,000 by Ruvain, who then goes to Levi, who purchased Ruvain's property that was meshubah to the loan, does Shimon really need to pay Levi for the added value, for the increased value? But Shmuel says Balchov gove es hashevach, that Shimon can collect everything from Levi. He goes and just takes the property at whatever value, right? And if it increased in value, so it's Shimon's. On my lay, lokash, we say it's no problem. Kam b'shevach hamagia l'kseifaim, v'kam b'shevach she'ein magia l'kseifaim. So it depends. If we're talking about like Shimon goes to take Levi's property, but Levi had grown a bunch of wheat, and the wheat is like, fully developed, so then Shimon can't just take that from Levi. He would have to pay Levi for it. But if it's just like if it's not like fully developed, so then it would just be considered like part of the property, and you wouldn't pay him for it. Okay. Amarle, but so sort of Ashi answers Ravina. V'ha ma'asim b'chol yom v'kol magbe Shmuel afilu shevach amigel l'kseifaim. But one second, but in practice, Shmuel would even say that Shimon would be able to collect from Levi, even including these stalks of wheat. Amalei lo kasha kan demasik be kshir ara v'shvacha kan de lo masik be el kshir ara. Well, it depends. If Shimon lent Reuven $1,000, now the property is worth $900, but with these stalks that are fully grown, it's worth $1,000. Well, he's entitled to $1,000, so he'll take the whole thing. But if it, I guess if you would be paid back without those stalks, so it wouldn't just be considered part of the property. You would have to pay Levi for those stalks, I guess. Fine. Right, but if it would be enough for him to get paid back without those fully grown stalks, so he would take the land and pay Levi for those stalks. Amarle. So I guess Ravina's sister of Ashi, Hanich lemando Omar is le zuze le lokeach lo motzi misalik le lebalchov shapir. Ha 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 ha. So when we say that he would pay him off with money, so this makes sense if you say that even if Levi had money, meaning Shimon lent Reuven $1,000. Reuven doesn't pay back Shimon. Shimon goes to Levi, says, Levi, I'm owed $1,000 from Reuven. I'm collecting the field. What if Levi says, wait, I really like this field. I bought it from Reuven because I want this field. I've invested in it. I've planted it, whatever. I want this field. Can't I just pay you the $1,000 that you're owed from Reuven? So if you say, no, you can't, no, Levi can't, I think that's what it means, right? Right? Lo matzi misalik le lebalchov, that even if Levi has $1,000 and says, wait, let me keep the field, I'll give you the money that I'll give you the money that you're owed, and I'll just go to Reuven and work it out with him. He can't. No, Shimon can still take the field because it was meshubah to the loan. So if you say that be'etzem, Levi is powerless, kind of like the App Store app review, right? Like they have all the power, and they could just, right? It's like life and death is in their hand, right? Approved or rejected is entirely up to however they feel. And sorry, I digress. So wait, what was that? So Levi's be'etzem powerless, and Shimon can say, no, I want the property. So in this context, Levi basically becomes powerless in terms of, and has like no right, I guess, to this property. So then, we could just pay him off this added value with money. Right? He has no right to say that he wants to retain any part of the property as payment for this added value. But according to the opinion that if Levi has money, he can pay off Shimon and say, Shimon, hey, wait, let me keep the field. You're owed $1,000. I'll give you $1,000. So then he does kind of have say over the field. So then maybe he could request that he gets paid not with money, but with part of the field. So Leimele ihavuli zuze have misalkino loch mikule ara. Levi can't Levi say to Shimon, look, if I had $1,000, I could have just say, here, take the $1,000 and get lost. Right? Levi says to Shimon, if I had $1,000, I could have just said to you, hey, Shimon, take the $1,000 and get lost, and I would keep the entire land. So Hashta, now that all I'm able to get is the added benefit of the land, Havli griva de ara shir shvachoy, at least just give me a shtickle land equal to the added value. I don't want money, I want property. Omalei, so Rav Ashi responds, Hochob Mayaskinon, here what are we talking about? Kigon deshavya nile aputiki. That here we're talking about a scenario where when Shimon lent $1,000 to Reuven, they made it pretty clear that, hey, Reuven, if you don't pay me back, this land is mine. So therefore, the Amalei lo yeilach peron elamizeh, that you are going to be paid back from this land, and that is it. And Rashi says, right? Rashi says, top Rashi on the page, v'inami havulei zuzeh lilokeach lo matzi misalek, that even if Levi had money, he wouldn't be able to say, Shimon, just take $1,000 and get lost, because the deal was that this specific field, in the event that Reuven defaults, this field becomes Shimon's. Levi can't say, hey, just take the money, and therefore, also when he gets paid for the added value, it's going to be with money and not with property. Gonna drink a shtickle coffee. Okie dokie. Weiter. Omar Rove, says Rove. What's your opinion on Rove? What's your opinion on Rove? What's your opinion on Rove? When you see Rava's name come up in the Gemara, what does that do to what does that do to your stomach? How does that make you feel inside? We've been learning. I mean, it's pretty. The Gemara is pretty awesome, right? We've been learning Gemara every day for more than 4 years. We've seen a lot. We've seen Rava is he in every single Masechta Be'etzim? It's so interesting, it's gewaldig how the Gemara is so vast. There's so much. It covers so much, and there's so much content. And it's so consistent. Like you have the same characters in every Masechta, basically, and the relationships between them are consistent, and even just the way they the type of opinions that they would have, the relationship between Abaye and Rava, and even just the relationship between later Amoraim and earlier Amoraim, even this dynamic between, this is a theory. I'm still trying to nail it, iron it out. But this is an emerging kind of feeling that I have, because I feel the more Gemara that we learn, and the more that we become sort of better acquainted with all of the Amoraim and the Tanoim, more so Amoraim, I think, than Tanoim. I think Tanoim, it's a little bit harder to kind of, I feel they're a little bit more abstract than the Amoraim. And I think that this relates actually to what I'm about to say, which is I feel even this discussion between Ravina and Rav Ashi were at the end of the Amoraim. They were the ones who are traditionally considered to have edited the Gemara. So this is a lot more of a conversation, right? A back and forth. That Ravina is asking something to Rav Ashi is responding, and they're kind of going back and forth. I feel even that kind of a dialogue is more, you could see that more among the later Amoraim. Rav and Shmuel are tachlis. It's there's a machlokas Rav and Shmuel. The later generations will then kind of discuss it, but I feel as you go through the generations, they become more kind of there's more dialogue between them. Where as you go higher up, in the Tanoim and stuff, there's less dialogue. It's more opinions and positions. And why was I saying this? Oh, because I was asking about Rava. It's just so cool. Like, it feels like there's really something it feels very authentic and very organic, just from the fact that like the Gemara is so vast, and yet in my perspective, it's very consistent, right? Like, you have the same, right? Abaye and Rava are always going to be a thing, right? And they all have their Rabbeim. Abaye is going to be, interacting with Rabba and Rav Yosef, and Rava is going to be interacting with also Rabba, maybe Rav Yosef, also Rav Nachman. Like, these relationships are consistent across this kind of vast work, which is pretty cool. And therefore, when I'm saying like, when I say Rava, when you see Rava in the Gemara, how does it make you feel? How does it make me feel? I feel like I'm trying to describe a wine, right? It's gewaldig, right? Like good Gemara is like good wine, right? It's like you like try to describe it. It's something gewaldig. It's like when you see Rava, how does it make you feel? Like chocolate, dry fruits, ripe fruits, tropical. Anyways, Rava, like later, super like intense, not scared of anybody. Rava will argue on. We've seen him argue on Rabba. We saw who else he can argue with Rav Nachman super early. He recently argued also with like Rava is just like Harif, strong. He's later, so often like kind of he's kind of like I was saying a few minutes ago, how like the differences between like being more abstract the earlier you are and more like, I guess, conversational and more, I guess, applicable the later generation. So Rava was like a fourth generation Amora, right? I think, right? It was Rava, Rav Yehuda, Rab. Yeah, he was like a fourth generation Amora. So like, he's more like authoritative. He's like giving Piskei Halacha. I think we often like the Psak will kind of relate to Rava. Wow, that was a long digression, but sorry. Anyways, so how does Rava make you feel? It was a bit of a digression, but I thought it's important, Chaver, because we have to also connect to the spirit of the Gemara. You know what I mean? And this is about being able to like relate to Rava like we relate to a fine wine is, I think, an important thing. And therefore, yeah, I think it's an important question. Like, how does Rava make you feel? Because that's what it's all about. 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 So that Olam Haba, right? When we have Mashiach and the Beis Hamikdash and Tchias HaMesim, and we see Rava, and we say, "Wow, Rava, I feel like I know you." Oh my Rava, Gazel v'Yishbiach Umacher, Gazel v'Yishbiach v'Horish. That's probably all just like a digression to cover up for like me not knowing what I'm talking about. Hopefully I know what I'm talking about. Well, no, not meaning with regard to the Gemara. Let's go back to Amar Rava. Gazal v'ishbiach umacher. Okay, so if a guy stole something and then it increased in value and then he sold it, remember this is gezela though, right? This is not geneva, so there's no like, tavach umacher kind of stuff. So gazal v'ishbiach umacher. Gazel v'ishbiach v'horish, or it increased in value and then he bequeathed it to the next generation. Mashe ishbiach mocher, mashe ishbiach horish. So I guess he bequeathed that added value, or he sold that added value. So Ashi kind of gives like two options of what that means. It means that the lokeach, the purchaser, could then, either he makes that like 1/3, 1/2, 1/4 deal, or maybe even he can keep the whole thing. All right. But Rava asked the kasha, shpiach lokeach mahu. If the thief stole something, sold it to a buyer, and then the buyer kind of increased its value. So the buyer, the pashta, after they're asking the kashi, then answered it, mocha rishon l'sheni kol zchus shetava liyado. What did the thief sell to the buyer? Well, whatever rights he had to it, and if the increased value, he would have a portion on. So then the same thing would be transferred to the buyer as well. Boy, Rava asked Akash, Shbiach Ovid Kichovim Mau. What does Ovid Kichovim increase its value? Amalei Ravacham Yidifti Ravina, says Ravacham Yidifti Ravina, Takanta Lo Ovid Kichovim Neku V'Navid. What, are we going to make some kind of a takana for an Ovid Kichovim? What is the point of because of like takana Sashavim kind of thing? Like we wanted to do tshuva, so we give him some kind of steak. I don't know, whatever, we're going to start like dealing with like Ovdei Kochavim. So where am I? So Takantlo Ovdei Kochavim Nekuv Navid Amar Lei. So Ravina responds, Lo Tzricha Kigon Dezabnu the Yisrael. It's talking about where he sold it then to Yisrael. But so Abamach Mas Ovdei Kochavim Mariko Ovdei Kochavim. But something that comes from an Ovdei Kochavim to Yisrael, it's betzim like an Ovdei Kochavim. Lo Tzricha Kigon Degazel Yisrael. Vezabnu Nialei Veshbicha Ovdei Kochavim VaHadar Ovdei Kochavim Vezabnu Yisrael. We're talking about where a Yid sold it to Ovdei Kochavim increased its value, then the Ovdei Kochavim sold it to Yid. Mi'amin came to Meikar Yisrael, V'Hadar Yisrael, Avdi Rabbanan Takanta. Do we say, well, since it started out with a Yid, and then by way of the Ovdei Kochavim, it then, sort of resolved with a Yid, so maybe there would be this Takana, and I guess the Yid would kind of keep the added value or have a portion of it. Or Dilma came to Ika Ovdei Kochavim Be'emtza Lo Avdulei Rabbanan Takanta, or maybe because the Ovdei Kochavim was kind of in the middle, they kind of ruined things. Teku, ich weiß nicht. Omer Papa says, Papa, Haiman de Gozel Dikla Michavre. Oh, I don't remember if I remember all the words over here. Papa says, if a fellow steals a palm tree from his friend, Vikatle, and cuts it down, Af al Gav the Shadim Ar la Aradide, even though I guess it like fell into his own property, Lo Kani. He's not Kone. My time, Akom Eikar Dikla Mikra, Vahashta Nami Dikla Mikre. Well, initially it was called a palm tree, and it's still a palm tree. I guess a cut down palm tree, but still a palm tree. So he doesn't own it. There's no shinui. All right. Dikla Vavid Gove, if he like now made this palm tree into like logs, Lo Kani, he's not Kone. Hashtamias Gove de Dikla Mikre, because they're just called palm tree logs. So they're still like kind of palm tree ish. Gove Vavdinu Kshure, if you then took the logs and made them into beams, Kani. Then you're kone, because now they're beams. They're like a new thing. Kshure, Ravrave, Vavdinu Kshure Zutre. If you had big beams and you made them little beams, Lo Kani, then that would not be a kinyan, because they're still all just different kinds of beams. Vavdinu Ksutsaisa Kani. But if you make that, I think maybe to like discs or something, so then you're kone, because it's like now like these like discs. Amar Rava says, Rabbi Mande Gazal Luliva Vavdinu Hutse. A fellow stole like a palm frond, and he made it into like, he just took off all the leaves, kani. The Mekar Luliva Mikre, Bashta Hutsi. Because originally it was like a palm frond, now it's like just a bunch of leaves. Hutsi, Vavdinu Chufya, if he then takes those leaves and he makes them into a broom, kani. He's oichit kone, because Mekar Hutsi, Vahashta Chufya. Originally there were just a bunch of palm leaf thingies, and now it's a broom. Chufya Avdi Sharshura Lo Kani. He takes the broom and he like, I guess, takes all of the like broomy thingies and then makes it into like a rope or something. Lo Kani, that is not Kone. My time out the other Sasar Levahavya Chufya, because you can, I don't know, undo the rope or whatever and it becomes a broom again. Alright, so if it's not really a change. So what if you have a lulav, like this palm frond, and the tiomus, the middle kind of thing at the top of the palm frond thingy, Mao. So what if like the tiomus gets split, which of course by lulav on sukkahs, if the nechlika tiomus is a problem. Mao, Toshma, the Amr Masun, Amr Bishub, and Levi, Nitla tiomus pasul, that if the tiomus goes missing, then it's possible. My lab who adin lenechlikos. We want to say that the same would apply to if it gets split. Lo nitlashani da chosr. No, if it gets removed entirely, it's a problem. But if it's just split, it's okay. Ikidam, those would say Tashma. Domer Mosan Mishum Levi nechlikat yomes naise kimi shenatla ufasul. Those would say fakir, that if the tiomes is split, then it's keilu, it's removed, and it's a problem. Shmaminu. Okay. Omer Pape. Haiman de Gozel. Okay, if a fellow steals dirt from his fellow, ve'avde levinta, and he makes it into a brick, lo kani, that will not be a kinyan. My time, how come? The hadar mashve le afra, because he could just break up the brick and it becomes dirt again. Levinta ve'avde afra, but if he stole a brick and he grinds it down into dirt or dust or whatever, I don't know, stuff, kani, then that is a kinyan. My time, my amr, because what would your possible other argument be to mahadar v'avidlei levinta, that maybe he'll go, it's not a kinyan because he can always reform it into a brick, but hai levinta achrisehu upanim chadashos ba'olachan, that brick would be a different brick, it wouldn't be exactly the same. I mean, if you take dirt and you make it into brick, it's not really a shinui because you can just break up the brick again and then it becomes dirt again, and that dirt's going to be the same as it was before. But if you take a brick and you break it down into dirt, even if you make it into a brick again, it's not going to be the same exact brick. It's going to have its own kind of features, and I don't know, it won't be the same exact thing. So therefore, that would be considered a shinui. Okay, in a kinyan. Rav Papa says, a fellow steals like just a bunch of like raw silver from his friend, and he makes it into a coin. Lo kani, it's not a kinyan. My time akam hadar avid lehu nascha, because you just melt it down again into a bunch of silver, and it'll be like it was before. However, zuzei vavdinu nascha, if you steal coins and then make it into like what's it? I think there's like a better word than raw silver. I think there's like a word or something. Dennis, help me out. What's like raw silver called? It's like, Dennis, you'll help us out, right? Nascha kani. I mean, no pressure. Where Balboa on Tammuz is a chilled out place. My Omar hadar avid lu zuze. Because why would you say that it is not a kinyan? Because you could always just make it back into coins. Pan chadashos bo lichan. It would be, they wouldn't exactly be the same coins. They would be, they wouldn't have the exact same features. Shchime vavdinu chadate. If you have dirty coins, I think, dirty silver, dirty coins maybe, vavdinu chadate, and you make them like, you clean them up and everything, polish them. Lo kani, that's not a kinyan, because I guess they'll just become dirty again. Chadate vavdinu shchime kani, but if they are new and then they get dirty, so then it is a kinyan ma'amart hadar avilu chadate, because what will you say? You can always just make them new again. Made the yediyah shechmayu, yeah, but there's always going to be some kind of a stain left on it. So once they become dirty, they can't become totally clean again. We said that here's the rule: all of the gazlans are going to pay like at the time of the gezela. Lasuya might include what? Lasuya or the amr of illa, to include what illa said. Ganav talav and ayil. So by a geneva, not by a gezela, but by a geneva, as we've learned, if he steals a sheep, v'naisa ayil, and it becomes a ram. Ayil egel v'nasa shor, you steal a calf and it becomes an ox. Naisa shinui biyado, it's considered a shinui v'kanao, and the ganif is he makes a kinyan on it. Tavachu mocher, and if at that point he slaughters it or he sells it, shelo tovech shelo mocher, then he is slaughtering or selling his own thing. He would not be chayiv in daled vehe. And I think what the point is that just like that would be considered a shinoi to be kona it by a ganif, the same thing would apply by a gazlin. If you stole a baby sheep, and I think it's called a lamb, and it becomes a ram. Interesting, lamb, ram, very similar. Why does lamb have a B at the end, but ram doesn't? Ooh, Dennis, what do you think? Why does lamb have a B at the end, but ram doesn't? They're both like sheepy things. Why does one of them have a random B and the other one doesn't? They both end with like AM. Why is one AMB and the other one is just AM? Wow. Ever think of that? Wow. That's a good kasha. So I think the point is that, okay, so the same thing by gezel, by gzela, if you steal a lamb with a B and it becomes a ram without a B, so then maybe that's the shinu. That's the answer. That's the answer. That is punkt the answer. That's punkt the answer. That's punkt the answer. That's punkt the answer. You know why lamb has a B and ram doesn't? To teach that when a lamb becomes a ram, it's a shinui. It loses its B. It's a shinui, and therefore the gazlan is kon is misham kshas hagzela. That is why lamb has a B and ram doesn't. In order to teach the halacha that it's a shinui and is misham kshas hagzela. It's an original chiddush. A fellow stole a pair of cows, oxen, from his friend. Also, Karav bu Kaiva, and then the thief goes and he plowed a field. Zarabu Zara, and he seeded the field. L'sof Adrinu Lamare, and then he returned the oxen. Also, the comment of Nachman, and the case came before of Nachman. Amalu, and Rav Nachman says to them, Zilu Shomu Shvacha de Ashbach. So Rav Nachman says, look. Go. So Rav Nachman says to the thief, you need to pay the victim all of the increased value that you got from the land. Right now it's plowed. Now it's plowed. Now it's seeded. So thief, you need to pay that value to the victim. Omar le Ravit. Now Ravit says to Rav Nachman, Torei Ashbach are lo Ashbach. But I don't understand. Did the land only benefit from the cows, from the oxen alone, but like no added benefit came just from the land itself? I don't know what that means, but I guess the land contributes. It's not just the oxen. The oxen are like doing, I guess, like helping with the plowing and stuff, but like the land is contributing to this value as well. So he only stole the oxen. Shouldn't he only be chayav for the oxen part? So Omar, so Rav Nachman says, Mikamina Nishaimu Kule. I'm not saying that all of the value needs to be paid to the victim. Palgo Kamina, only half. Right, the half that we can attribute to the ox. Amalei, Rava says to Rav Nachman, Sof Gizela hu v'kohadra be'ena. But we're saying, but at the end of the day, the thief stole the oxen and he's giving them right back. That's all he needs to do. He doesn't have to pay for the shevach. The Tana calls gazlonim mishamuk shasa gzela, that all of the gazlonim pay like at the time of the gzela. So Rav Nachman answers, Lo amina lach, did I not tell you, ki asivna bedina, that when I'm judging a case and adjudicating, lo tema li midi, don't say anything to me. Damar huna chavin, that our colleague, our comrade Rav Huna said, Eloi, about me, Rav Nachman, anu ushvar malka, me and Shmuel, ache bedina, are considered like brothers when it comes to judgments. Because hayinish gazlona atikahu uvaina deikanse. Because this thief is a big shmendrik with a proven track record of being a shmendrik and being a thief. So therefore, I needed to find him. So you're right, Maker Adin, he could have just given back the oxen, but I wanted to kind of find him so that hopefully he'll stop being a shmendrik. And that's it. So that's exactly what happened. Okay, Givaldig. Yeah, it's cool. So I was learning earlier today the Tzari Tes, and we point out over there in Rashi that Kaimalan Kishmuel Bedine, that we pass like Shmuel Bedine. So I guess that's why it's significant for Rav Nachman to say that he and Shmuel are like considered brothers when it comes to dinim, because we generally pass him like Shmuel when it comes to dinim. So it's a good person to be considered like your brother. I'm going to drink a shtuk more coffee. Let's go weiter. Says the Mishnah. We saw this yesterday. Take, I think. Yesterday? Let's see. When did we see it? Leil, Tzarihei. Yeah, yesterday. Gozal beheime vizkina avodim vizkinu. If a fellow steals an animal and it becomes like older and weaker, avodim, and they become older and weaker, mishalim kshas agzela, you pay like at the time of the gizela. Remeir Omer says, Remeir ba'avodim. When it comes to the avodim, he says to the victim, look, take back your old eved. If he steals a coin and it cracks, peris v'irkivu, fruits and they rotted, yain v'hichmitz, wine and it became vinegar, mishalim kshas agzela, so you pay like at the time of the gzela. Matbeya v'nifsel, if he stole a coin and it became puzzle, like it's no longer they disqualified it, so it's no longer valuable. Trume v'nitmes, trume became tame. You can get benefit from it, but you can't eat it. Chometz v'alav pesach, chometz post pesach. That's also bano. I think it's also bano. It's definitely also b'achila. That's for sure. Behema v'nevda ba'avere, a behema, and wait 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Wait, 1 second. Does Rashi say? No, I don't see anything here. Okay. Fine. Weiter. So behema v'nesavda ba'avera. A behema and avera was something that either was used as a getchke or as for an inappropriate relationship. Oh, shenifsula me'al gabe mizbeach, or it became possible from the mizbeach, or shayisa yotza lisakal, or it was being taken out to be stoned. We say, hey, take it back. I don't want it. Amar Papa says, Papa is kina mamish. Then when we say that the animal got old, it doesn't mean literally that it got old. Even if it got weaker. But it says that it got older. That if it got weaker, in a similar way to it getting older, i.e., it's not going to get younger again. And we're talking about a weakness that will not become stronger again. It's irreversible. Rashi says, "Makisha be Rav Chisda to Rav Ashi Achi Ka'amrei Mishmei to Rav Yochanan." This is what we say the name of Rav Yochanan. Afilu gonav tole v'naisa ayil. If he steals a lamb and it becomes a ram, ego v'naisa shor, a calf and it becomes an ox. Naisa shinu biyado, it's considered a shinui v'kano, and it makes a kinyan on it. Tovach u'mocher, and if the ganif then slaughters or sells, shelo tovech shelo mocher, he's slaughtering or selling his own item, and he's going to be part from dalvei omar lei. So Rav Ashi says to Makshisha B'Rav Rav Chisda, lavaminu lachavin. I told you lo tachliv gavre. Don't mix up the people who you're quoting. Hahu mishmei Reb Ila itmar. That was not stated in the name of Reb Yochanan. It was stated in the name of Reb Ila. Friends, that was Daf Tzadi Vav of Masechta BavaKama. I hope you enjoy. Peace out.